Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden takes the lead in two key states, Georgia and Pennsylvania. The tropical depression Ida leaves more than 70 fatalities on its way through Central America. United Nations and European Union authorities demanded Israel to stop the illegal demolition of Palestinian properties. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. And the U.S. presidential race remains too close to call. Joe Biden currently holds a popular vote lead of over 3.8 million, and according to the calls of the Associated Press, is just 6 electoral votes away from the victory. Early this morning, Biden took the lead in Georgia, one of the 5 states yet to be called. Georgia provides 16 electoral votes, which according to the U.S. electoral system could make the Democratic candidate the 59th president of the United States. The Georgia Secretary of State said there will be a recount in the state with the margins so close and that any irregularities will be investigated. Trump re-election has become a near impossible battle as Biden also recently took the lead in Pennsylvania. The Democratic candidate is ahead by over 5,500 votes. President Trump continues to use social media to keep up with his election fraud allegations. After 3 days of the busiest election day in the last 120 years, U.S. citizens still don't know who will be the next president of that nation. U.S. police have detained early Friday 2 men outside a Philadelphia polling station in Pennsylvania, a battleground state yet to declare a winner in the presidential election. Local media said the men were detained following a tip-off that an armed group were heading to the center. No injuries have been reported. Ballot counting continues in 4 crucial states days after Tuesday vote, with Democrat Joe Biden still confident of getting the presidency from incumbent Donald Trump. Trump, narrowly ahead in Pennsylvania, has made unsubstantiated claims about vote rigging in these key states. On Thursday, Facebook shut down pro-Trump group Stop the Steal that was organizing protests against vote counting. Two days after the election day, the result of the presidential race in the United States is yet to be defined, with both Donald Trump and his rival Joe Biden making contradictory statements this Thursday. Democrat Joe Biden said he had no doubt he will defeat Trump and win the U.S. presidency, and asked everyone to stay calm as votes were counted, stressing that the process is working and will know very soon. Biden's comments in Wilmington, Delaware, came after he attended a briefing on the coronavirus pandemic and amid a series of lawsuits and complaints from President Donald Trump's campaign as votes cast by mail are counted and tend to favor Biden. Meanwhile, Trump spoke from the White House briefing room on Thursday, where he continued to claim that there was widespread electoral fraud as that the Democrats were seeking to steal the election from him. The United States has not yet fulfilled its financial obligations to the United Nations, despite of the fact that 132 of the 193 UN member states have already paid their dues for the organization's 2020 operations as of Monday, according to the UN data. The UN has called on all member states to pay the membership dues as soon as possible in mid-October during the 5th committee of the 75th session of the General Assembly. UN data shows that as of September 30, the US, the biggest contributor to the UN budget, comes as $1 billion US, around 73% of the total unpaid dues. The country also owns another $1.4 billion US for peacekeeping expenses. In Bolivia, the Supreme Electoral Court held a press conference to respond to the attempts of some political sectors in the country to ignore the election results of October 18.
The full chamber of the Supreme Electoral Tribunal ratifies to the citizenry that the 2020 electoral process has been clean, transparent, peaceful, and highly participatory, conducted with impartiality and independence as consistently noted in international observation reports and national platforms.
The President of the Supreme Electoral Tribunal specified the entity's response to the request made by the member Rosario Baptista, who requested an audit from the OS.
Bolivia has a solid and reliable biometric electoral register, as noted by the OAS extensive audit report. International observation reports prove this. Also, the absence of significant criticism in all the months in which the laboratories have been open with full access to the register by all who would like to check the consistency of the database. The reorganization of the register was supervised and approved in all its instances by each and every one of the members of the plenary chamber for months. No political organization has questioned the confidence of the register.
The Supreme Electoral Court also rejected the statements against the voting system.
We reject reference to an alternate data block with secret access not reachable for those who so far verify the integrity of the register, and which suggests to add to the list of fanciful versions of the register that include, among others, supposed millions of ghost registrations, disproportionate growth of registrations, possibility of multiple registrations of a person, and others. While there is no evidence of such assumptions, if they existed, they would have been discovered or exposed by the OAS audit, by electoral observation missions, or by any of the political, social, or regional organizations that had unrestricted access to the census during the 2020 administration.
And we'll go now to a short break. Follow us in Twitter and don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The tropical depression Ida leaves more than 70 fatalities on its way through Central America. Landslides and floods caused by the rains have generated serious damage to agricultural, livestock, and industrial infrastructure and production. Ida broke into Nicaragua as a very serious Category 4 hurricane last Tuesday, generating serious damage to Biwi, where its port area practically disappeared, and 4 people died there. Converted into a storm and later into a tropical depression, Ida has caused destruction in Guatemala, where the president of the nation confirmed at least 50 deaths, product of the landslides, and a number of missing people that was around 20 people until Thursday. Honduran authorities reported at least 20 dead and serious damage to the Pacific coast. For its part, the Costa Rican government confirmed 2 deaths from a landslide and declared the nation in state of alert. The Colombian island of San Andres is left with damage after being hit by the remnants of Hurricane Ida, which has now downgraded to a tropical depression. The director of the National Unit for Disaster Risk Management, Eduardo José González, said that a total of 53 families have been affected across the island, which also includes Providencia and Santa Catalina Islands. The Cuban National Civil Defense established on Friday the informative phase for the western provinces from Pinar del Río to Ciego de Ávila, due to the proximity of the tropical depression Ida. Starting on Friday at 6 a.m. local time, those territories, including the Isla de la Juventud Special Municipality, must rationally take the measures laid out in the disaster risk reduction plans, as well as take actions to prevent and control COVID-19, the press release said. Meanwhile, Eastern Cuba must follow the information issued by the Meteorology Institute and Civil Defense about the development of the hydrometeorological system. The National General Staff of Civil Defense warns about vast cloudy areas and heavy rains associated to the tropical storm, which must be observed due to the saturation of soils and the filling of downs. And now we address other main topics in the region. After achieving victory in the general elections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves will be proclaimed as the re-elected Prime Minister of the Caribbean country. According to the Electoral Office of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Unity Labour Party achieved victory after obtaining 9 seats of the 15 in dispute in the single-chamber parliament, formalizing majority and granting Gonsalves his re-election for a 5th consecutive term. Gonsalves' main contender and opponent, Godwin Friday of the New Democratic Party, won 6 seats. Ralph Gonsalves will continue for 5 more years his administration, providing the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines with guarantees for social rights. The Cuban and Venezuelan governments congratulated Ralph Gonsalves for his re-election as Prime Minister. The Venezuelan Foreign Ministry issued a statement saying that Venezuela welcomes the historic and unprecedented 5th victory of the Unity Labour Party, as well as the civic and democratic attitude of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines during the elections. Venezuela reiterated its firm support to the Caribbean nation. The Cuban Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bruno Rodriguez, highlighted the relations of friendship and cooperation between both nations. In Ecuador, the National Assembly's new Commission of Supervision approved the report of the political trial against the government minister Maria Paula Romo for failure to fulfill her duties during the popular mobilizations against President Lenín Moreno in October 2019. Denise Herrera reports from Quito.
With 9 votes in favor, 1 abstention and 1 vote against, the National Assembly Commission approved the report that recommends the dismissal of Government Minister Maria Paula Romo due to the events that took place during the popular demonstrations in October 2019.
The minister is neither the head of the police nor has authorities in terms of tactical order, because in the police and in the armed forces there is the strategic order of planning and tactical order, which is the execution. Therefore, I do not see that it has been demonstrated that the minister did not comply with her duties. And therefore, I do not think that we are able to prove in the conclusion and recommendation that the minister did not comply with her duties.
Before the session, the minister pointed out in her Twitter account the names of the assembly members and the legislators that pushed for her political prosecution.
That a Minister of State comes out to give the names of the assembly members when this minister handles all the police intelligence is because she seeks to intimidate the National Assembly and to prevent the truth from being known.
The minister is accused of being responsible for the excessive use of police force during the protests, for allowing the use of expired tear gas bombs. She's also accused of not complying with the rules related to humanitarian actions in peace areas, to be related to the use of bombs in university campus that hosted the protesters, and for the late notification of the Interinstitutional Committee for the Protection of Journalists.
To seek the safety of the demonstrators is among her responsibilities. The use of expired tear gas bombs affects even the officers themselves. At the time those bombs were dropped, there are reports that other types of chemicals that are toxic to people may have been released.
The report was sent to the President of the National Assembly, who will have to summon the Assembly now to deal with the trial.
Denise Herrera, TeleSUR, Quito, Ecuador.
And Argentina is commemorating the 200th anniversary of its hoisting its national flag for the first time on the Malvinas Islands, with several events nationwide, one of which will be headed by President Alberto Fernández on Friday. On this historic date, Fernandez will preside over a major ceremony to hoist the Argentinian flag, an action that will take place simultaneously in several municipalities of the country, from La Quiaca to Ushuaia, including the Antarctica, and will be broadcasted on national television. The president will also share the first meeting of the National Council of Malvina, a territory that has been occupied by the United Kingdom since 1833. The council will propose and develop teaching and research events that will contribute to enhance the Argentinian people's knowledge about the country's fair demand for the full exercise of sovereignty over the island and surrounding maritime space. In Slovakia, the Office of the Public Prosecutor in charge of organized crime announced the arrest of several former chiefs and senior police officers in connection with the murder of investigative journalist Jan Kuciak in February 2018. Among those arrested are the former president of police, Tibor Gaspar, and the former director of the National Criminal Agency, Petr Hazrek. Both allegedly shared out bribes valued at more than $473,000 for concealing the alleged participation of a company in a criminal investigation. The murder of Jan Kuciak led to the discovery of a corruption scheme in the police and judicial power, resulting in the resignation of Prime Minister Robert Fico and the arrest of dozens of judges, including the former State Secretary of Justice Monika Jawnowska. We have a second short break, so stay with us. United Nations and European Union authorities demanded Israel to stop the illegal demolition of Palestinian properties. The High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Policy, Joseph Borrell, regretted this Thursday the Israeli destruction of a Bedouin village in the West Bank. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Human Affairs in the occupied territories also condemned the actions and pointed out that at least 73 Palestinians, including 41 children, were displaced from a village in the Jordan Valley on Wednesday. The Israeli army has demolished more than 800 structures so far this year in order to take over the new land. And Kyrgyzstan saw the gates of its main government building torn down on Friday in a move the authorities said symbolized the removal of barriers between citizens and government following political turmoil. Surunbay Jivinkov became the last month the third president in Kyrgyzstan to resign amid unrest since the country gained independence 29 years ago. Jivinkov's departure came after allegations of vote rigging in an October parliamentary elections sparked mass protests that persisted even after the vote results were cancelled. Parliamentary Speaker Talant Mamitov said the initiative to tear down the black-painted metal gates surrounding the building that houses Parliament and the presidential administration came from new Prime Minister and acting President Sadir Japarov.
It's good that the fence have been removed. After all, there is no power without people. Authorities should be in constant contact with the people. Who puts up a fence? Only those who are afraid of their people. These are corrupt people who cling to power in order to get rich.
It used to be a sign of distrust of the people, and now the fence is being demolished. Our people have a combative nature, so a fence will not help. That's why they are demolishing it.
China would like to stick together with African countries with whatever risk or challenges and forge ahead to build up a China-Africa community of a shared future, said Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson at a regular press briefing on Friday. Spokesperson Wang Wenbin made the remarks in response to a query of the arrival of Chinese donated medical supplies to Africa.
The medical supplies sent by the Chinese government through the Organization of African First Ladies for Development have been smoothly delivered to 53 African
Today,
Friday,
medical
Malaysia's
supplies
government
sent by the Chinese government through the Organization of African First Ladies for Development have been smoothly delivered to 53 African countries for women, children, and the youth to fight COVID-19. Overcoming difficulties like restricted international logistics due to the pandemic, China managed to deliver all the medical supplies within 4 months. With the extensive support from the local governments and the OAFLAD, the supplies have been distributed and used in those countries. The African governments and people commended this effort and said that this assistance will better enable African women, children, and youth to fight COVID-19, and that mutual assistance, solidarity, and cooperation is of vital importance to winning this battle.
On Friday, Malaysia's government unveiled its national budget for the year 2021 in the country's parliament, as the Asian nation seeks to revive an economy that has been badly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic.
The year 2020 for Malaysia has been full of challenging events. Never before in modern human history has an outbreak brought about such a big impact. The spread of COVID-19 has not only taken people's lives, but has even caused economies around the world to plunge. Praise be to God, we have seen the country's GDP growth to show signs of recovery, from negative 28.6% in April 2020 to negative 3.2% in June. Something important that needs to be realized is that we have proven to the international community that Malaysia is capable of handling its economy in any challenging situation.
Parts of Italy returned to coronavirus lockdown on Friday as the resurging pandemic continued its march across Europe. 5 coronavirus red zones in Italy's north will close non-essential business, affecting 16 million people. Italy have been badly hit by the first wave, with images of swamped hospitals, makeshift morgues and intubated patients shocking the world. Experts say the country is now in the grip of a second wave after a sharp increase in infections, and regions are again warning that intensive care units are filling rapidly. On Thursday, another 445 new coronavirus deaths were recorded across the country, along with more than 34,000 new cases. Hospitals in Belgium are facing a record-breaking influx of patients, with dozens of patients being transferred, as the country has the highest COVID-19 infection rate in Europe and one of the highest death rates in the world. Patients infected with the COVID-19 virus are transferring within hospital networks across provinces and now across borders as the system tries to stay from collapse. Liège Hospital in Belgium is maxed out to capacity and is now airlifting COVID-19 patients across the border to Germany for treatment in a desperate bid to free up space. Despite attempts to increase capacity, the hospital is transferring up to 20 patients a day by ambulance to other hospitals, provinces and other countries, as all 50 beds were occupied in the hospital. And we have come to the end of this news brief, but remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and also, if you feel so inclined, follow us on social media, Twitter, Telegram, Facebook or Instagram. For TeleSUR English, my name is Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.